All right, the Reds, Happy New Year. The preview show is back, the first one of the year and the biggest game of the year, Manchester City versus Liverpool, with me, Gareth Roberts, to talk about that, about Stu Wright and Rob Gutmann. The Premier League still looks good. If you haven't had a look this year, take a look. It reads Liverpool top of the league by 6 points. Tottenham won against Cardiff, surprise, surprise. And they've now played a game more than the Reds, which is why it's down to 6. But we retain a 7-point lead over Manchester City. And it's that 7-point lead, really, that sort of should mean we're all dead happy, really. As some fella came to mind this morning, changing the meter on the flat. He was a Red, he was buzzing, he seen a couple of pictures and was like, you're a Red. Starts going on about how good we are, how he watched the 87, 88 side and he believes these are better. How we've had our 5-0 against Forest with a 5-1 against Arsenal. We've got it won. I mean, I loved his chat, you know what I mean? It was great. It was like, you know, got to get up for work. And this fella's just made me feel dead happy. But yeah, 7-point lead, so we can, it feels like a bit of a free hit. I know that's a mad thing to say, but it's only Man City.
It's only Man City,
It's only 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't enjoy it now, then you're doing it wrong, really, aren't you? You know, 7-point
It's brilliant.
It's fantastic, as you say there. There's loads of little anecdotes where you're meeting fellow Reds in work or on the street and people coming to your house and you're chatting in ways that you've not been able to for a long, long time about how good we are. And this team does feel like it's built on something substantial as well. It's always felt to me like when we've had title runs in the past that our strengths are built around masking some of our quite big deficiencies, really. But with this team, I don't think that's the case. I think there's a real balance there, and I think that's why that belief is sweeping it, across the city. That I hate using this term, but it could be our year, because if you don't believe that now, if you don't believe that with a 7-point lead, if you don't believe that with the way we're playing, if you don't believe that with the type of players that we've got in every position, then I don't think you ever will. And I don't want to be one of those people who don't enjoy it until there's a C next to our name at the top of the table in May. We've got to enjoy it. We've got to enjoy this period.
It's not just this season, though, is it, Rob?
No.
It's the back end of last season as well, and like there's those stats now around. We've sort of played a season's worth of fixtures, if you like, and clocked up around 90 points, I think it is, or something like that. So this form isn't just like, you get all those banter dickheads on the internet saying, oh, look at Liverpool fans enjoying themselves. It's only halfway through the season. But we had last season to enjoy as well, and this has been bolted on, and we've got better. The squad looks stronger, and as you say, and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of things to worry about, really, right now.
There's always things to worry. I have two voices in my head on this, and one, you're absolutely right. We've had, near as damn it, the best calendar year in our history, I imagine. I think I was doing some calcs for the 79 team, Liverpool's team that won the league there with Dalglish and Souness and Hansen, and it got 68 points in 42 games there, which I think if you extrapolate and allow for 38 games, it's equivalent to about an 89-point season. So we've at least matched, possibly even slightly bettered that team whilst getting to a European Cup final. So we're watching, statistically, I don't even, the evidence of our eyes, possibly the greatest Liverpool team of all time. We might be. So I want that, my anxiety is just being raised because I want that to be translated. I want to turn around at the end of the season and go, that team won the league. And if it does win the league, it won't win the league with less than 90 points. It will then be the greatest Liverpool side of all time. It might even go close in the European Cup as well. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. If we win the league, I don't give a shite if we go out to Bayern Munich and Wolves in the next round of the FA Cup. I just want to win the league. Although, in a funny sort of way, I think if we prove ourselves to be good enough to win the league, it's because we will keep getting better this season. We won't just keep our little 6-point lead and trundle along and just about see them off. We will get better and better and better, and we will smash them all out of the park. I think that's the only way this works. And if we get better and better and better, we will knock out the likes of Bayern Munich, and we will go very long in the European Cup as well. So, to be crazy about it, I think this could be a very special season.
I think as well, if you look at Klopp's history with Dortmund, people have said now, oh, there's a very different pressure when you're on top of the league and people are chasing you rather than you're the chasers. Let's see how Klopp and Liverpool handle that. But I think history has shown that Klopp likes that. When he's had success with Dortmund, they've absolutely blown away the opposition and ran away with the league, on a couple of occasions. And the game against Arsenal the other night, was a great indicator of how we're responding to that pressure, really. Klopp's loving it. He's out on, he's on video, he's out on New Year's Eve.
Is that actually him?
Disco dancer, that's definitely him. Come on, you know that's him. And if it's not him, I don't care. I'm still saying it's him. But I think he loves it. And I wouldn't be surprised now if you see Liverpool absolutely put the foot down over the next 6 weeks. I really wouldn't be surprised if we, if the afterburners, kick in now. And Liverpool build on this lead regardless of what happens on Thursday.
We're unbeaten in 20 matches now, obviously, in the league. In terms of sort of facts and figures around this game, it's a bit mad. It's sort of quite contrary. You can almost sort of make a case for either side, which I guess shows you that really, despite all us getting dead excited, there is only really sort of a siggy paper between the two sides in terms of ability and everything else. And, when you start looking at, like Pep Guardiola's still a brilliant manager, they've still got a brilliant squad and a brilliant team. They don't lose back-to-back matches and things like that. But some of the facts and figures, I'll do them for you so you can see what I mean. So City have won just one of their last 11 with Liverpool in all competitions, drawn 3, lost 7, although that was the 5-0 at the Etihad last season, but then our caveat is obviously that we had a man sent off and Mo missed some early chances and things like that. Then there's Liverpool have won only 1 of their last 9 league visits to the Etihad Stadium, drawn 3, lost 5. That was the 4-1 in Klopp's first away game against City. Cracking game, that one.
But we've beaten them in Europe.
We've beaten them in Europe, of course, the 2-1, and obviously the home leg of that match as well. I mean, 3 times in the last calendar year we beat them, so we're definitely in the heads, 100% in the heads. But equally, though, as I say, they're not daft, they're not crap. They're really good at home as well. So how do you see the match going?
I don't know. It's going to be. Neil, we did a preview show the other day, and Neil was saying it could go 4-0 either way. We're those kind of sides relative to each other, and I've always said this in the past that it could happen. I said this last season, the season before. We're both good sides. It could go either way. If either of us click, we could blow the other one away in a 15-minute spell. It might be tempting fate again, but I don't think we're that team anymore. I don't think anyone blows us away. It might look very stupid come Friday morning, but I don't think that's going to happen. Then they're going to have to beat us. They're going to have to work hard, and I think they'll do it narrowly. But I think we can, and I think we might blow them away. I just think we're in the zone. At some point, champions have got to play like champions.
I think the last 20 minutes is going to be very, very crucial. I mean, that sounds obvious, but if you think about when we played them away in the Champions League, we were able then in the last 20 minutes, once Firmino had scored, we were over the hill and far away. They'd come out and blitzed us in the first 20, in the first half really, hadn't they? And we'd managed to stay in the game. But that's because there was a previous leg. That's because it was a knockout competition. There was a previous leg, and we'd built the lead. So we were over the hill and far away with that last 20 minutes. Whereas with this league encounter, and they've really got to win.
And we haven't.
And we haven't. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's a high scoring draw. I think that Liverpool, if they're going to win, I think Liverpool need to be 2 goals clear in the last 15 to 20 minutes. I think Liverpool needs to be 3-1 up, really, because I think otherwise there's going to be an absolute bombardment of our goal, and then it's just whether we can cling on to it. I agree with you, Rob. I think we are a much stronger team, even than 6 months ago. Actually, I think we're a much stronger team than when we've played them at their place last. But I do think just from the sheer nature of the pressure that's on them, the sheer need for them to get a result will mean that I think that their bombardments should really be from minute 1 to minute 90, unless we've got a comfortable buffer of a couple of goals.
I'm not sure that they'll do that though. Guardiola, the only time he's got anywhere against Klopp, and Klopp's got the best record against Guardiola of any manager in the world, is when Guardiola's been more conservative and hasn't gone at a Klopp team. And I think you saw that at Anfield earlier on in the season. I mean, it's 0-0, it's a tight game. They nearly snatch it with the late penalty that they miss. Although I think you're right, you'll be thinking, geez, we really need to win this. I think he'll also be terrified of losing it. Because I think at 7 points, if it stays at 7 points on a draw, you go, okay, Liverpool will be confident, but we're experienced. We'll be calm, and we will just go and win 15 of the last 17 games. And let's see how they do. Meanwhile, we've got a European Cup to win. I think he can calm himself down on that. But I think he'll think to himself, but if we just throw hell caution to the wind. We know what Klopp teams can do to us. And if they win 10 points, we genuinely have to throw in the towel. So I think he'll set himself, I think he'd take 0-0 at 60 minutes and go, we can nick this. We've got a moment of quality in us, maybe even a higher moment of quality than they have. We've got a Kevin De Bruyne free kick or something. So I've got a feeling he'll be a little cagier than people expect, but I might be wrong.
Well, Guardiola has lost 7 games to Jurgen Klopp, more than any other manager, but only 2 of the defeats have come in home games. So on it goes with these stats and them being able to sort of go either way. In terms of the game as well, is it all guns blazing? Is it cagey and conservative? Neil's going to have a look at the tactics here with the infamous tactics board now. We know you've missed it.
Happy New Year. We're back for the biggest game of our lives, presumably, although they'll only get bigger from this point onwards. That's the way this works. It'll feel enormous to Guardiola. It is enormous. We know it's a massive game. We know it's difficult for Guardiola. Last season, City were excellent from full-back. They had Delph predominantly left-back. They had Walker right-back, and they were doing the business for them right the way through the season. Something's stopped working this campaign, and it's difficult to exactly put your finger on what it is, but neither full-back has played particularly well across the last 6 weeks or so. Delph got himself sent off the other day, so he won't even be available. Walker's got himself into a bad place, a bad run of form all of a sudden. These things happen and players can come out of these runs as quickly as they fall into them, but it will be what's concerning the Manchester City manager. He's been missing Fernandinho, but Fernandinho came back in for the win against Southampton. That'll be good news for Guardiola. It was interesting as soon as Southampton went down to 10 men for a bad foul on Fernandinho that the Manchester City manager took him off. That suggests he's not 100% fit, but the moment when the game felt beyond doubt, Guardiola got him off the pitch with one eye on our game, this one that's coming up. In attack, you're looking at probably Aguero. You're looking at, I think, Sane and Sterling. Mahrez played at Anfield, and Mahrez has played a lot of the bigger games. And earlier this season, he went Sterling through the middle for one as well to get Sane and Mahrez on the pitch rather than play Jesus. I think that we will go with Sane and Sterling because it's a game he needs to win. But therein is the quandary. City came to Anfield and they played for and got a draw. They nearly got 3 points, the missed penalty by Mahrez in the end, feeling like a big moment across the course of the season. Last season, when they needed to get something against us in the Champions League, City, we went to their place and it was all out attack for the first half. They absolutely battered us. But in the end, they lost the game 2-1. They were 1-0 up at half-time, yes, but they lost the game 2-1. And this is the question mark, really, for Guardiola. Does he go with what worked at Anfield and got him the results he needed then, and maybe tweak it a little bit, or does he go out with the all-out attack approach that we saw at the Etihad in March in the Champions League that did get him 1-0 up after a couple of minutes and did see us absolutely bombarded in the second half? I suspect it'll be a little bit of a hybrid of both. City trying to attack at certain moments. I suspect you'll see Kyle Walker at right back, but for much of the game doing his Kyle Walker at Anfield right back impression, where it's sit right next to these lads. I think it might be Danilo at left back, and something similar might happen. Danilo might stay pretty close to his centre half. They might keep each other company at the back there, hold hands a little bit, and then at certain moments go. Those moments might be the first 10 minutes. It might be the first 10. City decide to lay waste towards the Liverpool goal, see what happens and see what they get. This will be what's going through Guardiola's mind. Previous game, he sat Silva right in, Bernardo Silva right in next to Fernandinho, and it was a little bit more like this than it was anything else, and they got the best out of that. And I think that this isn't one where we're not going to see a setup from Manchester City. I think we're going to see them play one way for a period of time, then play another way, then play another way, then play another way. I don't think there's going to be one holistic answer from them, because I don't think one holistic answer can beat this Liverpool side in this game that can chop and change. I think it's going to be difficult for them, but they're more than good enough. This could be a game that's turned on moments rather than tactical plans. It could be a game that's turned with the referee's decision. Let's not think for 1 second Liverpool go into this game as favourites. They very much don't. Let's not think for 1 second Manchester City have forgotten how to play football. They very much haven't. But let's remember that it's Pep Guardiola who's up nights trying to work out how best to do this, whereas Jurgen Klopp's having a big dance.
Okay, thanks to Neil there. The bookies on this one make the Reds 5-2, City 21-20, and the draw 11-4-ish. Martin Keown the other night on Match of the Day came out with an absolute bizarre one for me, where he said Liverpool won't be thinking in their wildest dreams that they can go to City and win.
Did he?
Yeah. I mean,
Merce said we could and would. You know, Merce is very accurate these days.
I mean, it seems to have, passed Keown by that We literally went there in April and won 2-1. Yes, there was the 5-0 in the Premier League in September 2017. Before that, there's been a draw there. We drew with them at Wembley as well, and obviously they beat us on penalties there. The 4-1, which we mentioned earlier, going back further, then year 2014, we lost 3-1 there. 2013, we lost 2-1 there. And on and on and on and on and on and on it goes. In terms of a Liverpool team then, how do you see Liverpool setting up for this one? The City got a couple of problems. De Bruyne may miss it, or he may miraculously be all right again. They've got a few problems at left back as well. So what do you see Liverpool A setting up like, and B sort of planning, like how did they go for it? Are they conservative? What do you reckon?
I think you know, formation-wise, I think we should see a return, certainly for me anyway, a return to the 4-3-3 with Firmino through the middle, Salah on the right and Mane on the left. I think the back four and the goalie, obviously, they picked themselves, so there's just questions over who we have in the midfield. And our midfield selection has been really quite interchangeable without a drop in quality, hasn't it? So I was saying on a show the other day that the only question mark for me is Fabinho. I'm not sure that I'd risk him because there's just been 2 or 3 occasions so far this season where he's been a bit caught in possession. And much in the same way as I think we need to go after Fernandinho, they may well target him if he's playing. So
I mean, Wijnaldum's playing, isn't he? Because I mean, despite you saying it's interchangeable, he started 25, or he's played in 25 out of 27. He's the go-to man for Klopp. I mean, people keep talking about the rotation in midfield, but he's largely avoided it.
He's been in midfield.
Burnley away.
Has he started 25 out of 27 games?
He's played in 25 out of 27. I think he was subbed on once or twice as well. But,
yeah, that's right.
But he's pretty much, you know, the go. He's the man with the most out of the men in the middle. That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good.
So, yeah, is it him plus?
I think it's really hard to call. In my mind's eye, I think he may be tempted by that formation he put out against United that did them, where he loaded our right-hand side, didn't he, to target their left-hand side. Mane was switched to the right, and him and Mo Salah worked against their left-hand side, and Keita played to the left in the half space, as Klopp called it. Now, was it Fabinho Henderson for the first time in tandem that game? So he could say that really worked well that day and want to reprise that. But I take your point that people forget Fabinho's young still. He's only 23. The likes of Wijnaldum, Henderson are older, more experienced. And again, it's hard to look past Gini Wijnaldum. The only thing I would say, although he's been vastly improved, he's a much better player at home than he is away still, Gini Wijnaldum, I think. I mean, maybe he's beginning to dispel that myth this season. I can't remember, maybe some of his best performances have been away, but traditionally he's a better home player than away player. So I don't know. It's 2 from 3 for those holding roles for me. And then I think Naby Keita gets brought back in.
I think there's a good shout for Keita. You look at his history in big games for Red Bull, and he was always excellent against Bayern.
Yeah.
And I think if we are going to go to a 4-3-3 formation, we do need someone from that central midfield 3 who can break lines, much in the same way as Oxlade-Chamberlain did last year with great success against Man City. And I think Naby's the one who can do that. He can be the ball carrier. He can be the one that can carry it on the break and run at the heart of their defence, and also potentially put some pressure on Fernandinho with Firmino. So for me, I'd be tempted to go Wijnaldum, Henderson and Naby, but I wonder whether he'll go Wijnaldum, Henderson and Milner.
If you feel there's got to be a role for Milner in some way and not just off the bench, I wonder if he's half thinking about whether he puts him in at right back. Trent did really well against Sane in that semi-final, but he's had problems in the past. And I just wonder with Klopp, I think he'll want to be compact here. There's no need for us to throw caution to the wind here and trying to do that against City. I think you've got to bide your moment for it. So I wonder if he might just go Milner at right back. I wouldn't say I'd bet on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
I've got a feeling that Guardiola's not going to play Sane. I think that he may well go for Mahrez, just based on the fact that he'll work back more.
He did drop Sane out against Southampton. That's the only thing that made me think.
Right.
And Mahrez was in for that. So Was he resting one for the other?
Maybe.
Sterling played that game. I mean, maybe it's Mahrez and Sane even.
We've seen this Zinchenko lad play against Southampton, and he wasn't the most convincing for City.
He cost them the goal. Yeah,
he's only played 3 games all season at left back for them in the Premier League, Brighton, Bournemouth, and that Southampton game. I mean, you've got to say you'd be rubbing your hands if he starts for them. He's only 22.
Yeah, he was at fault for the goal. He calls for a ball with his back to his own goal and gets pressed and loses it, and they score straight off it. They haven't got Mendy. I mean, I don't know what other options they've got apart from Zinchenko. Can Danilo play that side if need be? I know he's right-sided predominantly.
They can also go back to what they did last year with Laporte going over to left-back.
Yeah.
I mean, if he doesn't, he'll be the left-sided centre-back anyway.
Del's out for the red card, yeah.
He'd be the left-sided centre-back anyway, and that would give Zinchenko some protection down that side. But, you know, you're right, if you're Mo Salah and you are playing on the right, then you'd be rubbing your hands together with the prospect of running in behind this lad. But I think Laporte that would tell us an awful lot about how conservative Guardiola is for this game if he goes with Laporte as left back, I think.
Well, Guardiola's go-to is virtually a 4-1-4 formation, isn't it, effectively? However you want to dress it up. De Bruyne and David Silva have got a licence to get forward at will. I wonder if he drops in another more defensive midfielder, whether Gundogan, or is he possibly injured, gets dropped in for this one.
I think he played against Southampton. At
least.
He had minutes,
he's expected to be all right, I think.
Yeah.
He's expected to be all right. I mean, just on City in general as well, I mean, you know, I'm not doing New Year's resolutions because I've decided that a load of bollocks. Like you can just decide to do something at any point in the year. It doesn't have to be the 1st of January. One of my things is I'm going to try and ignore knobheads a little bit more, but we'll see how we go. But speaking of...
It's quite the list you've got there,
Robert. But speaking of knobheads, I mean, some City fans are pretty ridiculous now about Liverpool, banging on about us, writing pieces about us every 5 seconds, it seems, even talking about, you know, how they're somehow the people's champion in waiting now because no one wants Liverpool to win it and all this kind of thing. But, I mean, how do you two sensible gentlemen feel about Manchester City? Because I still can't get too wound up about them, I've got to be honest. I know I'm contradicting myself a little bit, but yeah, I get wound up by seeing some of this shit they put out there, but I still just think, you're just City. You're just City. You're not a rival. You're a rival this season. You're a rival because we're going for the title, but you're not a traditional rival for Liverpool.
I think the infrastructure of that club is such that they should be on paper at least a real mammoth of a club, and listen, financially they are, and they've been able to attract, you know, the most desired manager in the world at that time into the club, but there's so many things around them that just seem to let them down. You know, the fact that they can't sell out the ground time and time again, the nonsense about the Champions League, the desperation they have to have a rivalry with us to create one. Even stuff like the fella that are, you know, the journalists around the club for the, you know, I don't want to name names here, but we all know, I think, who I'm talking about. And it's just this small time nonsense.
Singing songs about us every week.
Yeah, it just betrays really any notion that they're a big club in themselves. And until they get that chip off the shoulder, then I think we're all... Yeah, I mean, any idea that they're the people's champion? I mean,
it was quite funny that, though, to be fair, because you know there was that notion put out there, but then Henry Winter basically wrote a piece as well, which was saying, you know, if Liverpool win, that's great for football because they haven't been, you know, the level of financially doped and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So and then that, I don't know if you clicked the comments below that.
I didn't need to. Yeah, Henry set himself up there, didn't he? But good man for trying. I don't think they're rivals to us in the sense of I don't think our supporters are that asked what their supporters think. I know my emotions in the ground. If we're playing Everton or United, when we score, when I've come down from jumping up and hitting the ceiling, my first thought is to turn towards them and just gesticulate, ha ha, in some sort of shit way, and flick them the V's and get angry. Against them, I don't care. I don't have a visualisation of who they are. Back in the day, when they were the main road Man City, they did have this hardcore. I don't know quite what's happened to it. They're like Chelsea now. They're a modern, I don't know, Americanized, but non-football club to me. So yeah, they're a rival in terms of they're a challenge. They're this huge financial thing we have to get past. They're rival in that sense. But in terms of as a supporters base and wanting to get one over them like they're your neighbourhood rival, no, they're not in a million years that for me.
Do you know the way I look at them? They're a 21st century Blackburn Rovers of the early 90s, you know what I mean? But they've been able to sustain it. You know, they've basically had
with more money.
Yeah, they've had a sugar daddy come in. I mean, Blackburn Rovers blew everyone away financially when Jack Walker was there, didn't he? You know, it was some story of that, and they came up the divisions, much in the way that Man City have come through the divisions in the last 15 years or so. But you're right. I think there is I feel for actually the hardcore Manchester City support who must be embarrassed by so many of the hanger-oners and of the last 10 years and the things that go on around the club. They're just great on you, much in the same way that when FSG came in to Liverpool and they made the mistake of the Being Liverpool documentary, and it just grated on it. It just wasn't right for us, was it? And I think if I was a Man City fan who'd been with them through thick and thin over the decades, then there'd be a lot that wouldn't be sitting right with me. But yeah, to me, sorry Man City, you're Blackburn Rovers.
Well, there you go. I mean, let's hope that we beat them like did we always beat Blackburn Rovers? I can't even remember now. It was a long time ago. I used to love going to Ewood Park, though, with the way we got the whole end. Anyway, big game. There will be more videos. There's loads of podcasts. There's loads of writing on the website as well, theanfieldrap.com. So get on all of that. There will be a post-match pints after the game. No matter what happens, there will be a post-match show too, which you can listen to by subscribing to the Anfield Rap's Tour Player. That has been the preview show. Nice one, the boys. Let's hope the Reds do it. Up the Reds.